Oh, my topic today is when should you not refer clients or your prospects? When should you not refer people to your own lawyer? So imagine this situation. You help somebody buy a house, the transaction closed 6 months ago, and after the transaction closed, the buyer starts to learn that the foundation is moving. They're not miffed at you, but they're miffed at the listing broker. So they want a good attorney. You have a good attorney. You're inclined to refer them to your attorney. But there's a problem. And that is an independent attorney would be able to evaluate whether that buyer might have claims against you. And that's not what you want. You don't want that attorney to represent that unhappy buyer. You want that attorney to be available to defend you should claims be asserted against you. And if the attorney's handling things correctly, the attorney spots the potential conflicts of interest right away, and the attorney turns the buyer away. But that's frustrating for the buyer. You've sold this. You sold this buyer that your attorney is the best attorney, and when your buyer can't get the best attorney, your buyer gets frustrated, and also sometimes they wonder why, and maybe they put two and two together and wonder whether there's some potential claims against you. So it's a mess. So here's the simple rule. Number one, if you have a client of yours who's unhappy about something you did, obviously don't refer them to your own attorney. If you have a client of yours who is unhappy about a transaction that you were involved in, don't refer them to your own attorney, even if they're not angry at you. If you have a situation where the buyer feels, whether you feel guilty about some result that came out as a result of this transaction. You feel guilty that your buyer paid too much. You feel guilty that your seller carried a note and now the note is in default. Then you should probably talk to your attorney first to see whether the attorney can accept the referral or whether the attorney suggests some other course of action. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't send your clients to us or whoever your lawyer is. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. For example, there might be situations where you've helped a client buy house 1, 2, 3, and 4, and now they're interested in buying a gas station. Great, send them to us. You might be involved in a transaction where you helped a buyer buy a property 3 years ago, and now that buyer wants to do an expansion and they need help getting a zoning variance from the municipality. Great, send them to your lawyer. But in situations that fit what I mentioned above, when they're miffed at you, obviously don't send them to your lawyer. When they're miffed about a transaction, don't send them to your lawyer. And when you feel guilty about something, don't send them to your own lawyer, and you should be in good shape. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you catch the next one. Bye.